Today we're going to learn how to make this in Illustrator. So I've got all of these artboards set up and we're going to go through all of these one at a time. Let's start with the first one. So if I zoom into this, you can see that we've started just with very simple shapes. So on the bottom artboard, first off, we're going to set up, we are in the Workspace Essentials Classic if you want yours to look like mine. I have just chosen whatever color I want, it really doesn't matter. Grab your rectangle tool and just draw a simple box. Now with your selection tool, tilt it as much as you want to. And we need to make a copy by saying Alt and dragging our mouse down. And do it again, Alt, drag your mouse down. Now with the selection tool, select all of them, grab your Align window and align them all to the center and make sure they are distributed. Now that we have that right, you need to select the top two just by clicking and dragging, and Alt and make a copy of those two. Now you need to change this to another color just so it'll help you be able to see them. Now we want the top one. With your selection tool, pick it up and line it back up with your top box. Now select off of the box and grab your direct selection tool. Now we just need to think, how would this work if this was an actual ribbon? Grab the bottom anchor point and pull it down to the bottom anchor point of the next box. Then grab the top left anchor point and drop it down to the top left of the second box. Think about that, that is how a ribbon would actually turn. Now we're going to do the same thing with the next box. Pick it up, match it, then get your direct selection tool. That anchor point would go down to here, and this anchor point would go down to here. Now at this point you can decide, do I want these to be on the top of these ribbons or do I want them to be behind? I think I'm going to put mine behind. So I'm going to click on that part of the ribbon, right click and send to back. So I think that looks pretty good. But one thing that we can do to make it look a little bit more sophisticated is to add a gradient. So click on your pink or whatever color your back part of the ribbon is. We're going to go to our swatches panel. If you can't find your swatches panel, you can always go to Window, Swatches. And we need to load some gradients. So click on the upper left-hand corner hamburger menu and say Open Swatch Library Gradients. Now there are a lot to choose from. I'm going to choose the Gems and Jewels because I'm using very bright colors. And I just want to choose, say, that one. You see how adding a little bit of a gradient is giving it a little pop of something different. And of course we could go into the gradient and really kind of change this around how it looks. I'm going to add that to the second ribbon to give it a little bit of pop. And actually, I think I want to go with a different color. There you go. That is our first choice. I'm going to go ahead and pull these gradients over here so we can use them later. Let's go over to the next one. The only difference here is that it is straight ahead. So let's see if you can do this one all on your own. Okay, and once again, you can either have them on the front or on the back. This one's a little bit different because it's a little bit more organic and it doesn't have exactly the same shape. So let's go and try one like this. Now you can do these the same way as we did the other one, or you can use the pen tool. So let me go ahead and start. I'm going to make these just a little bit off. So like I said, you could draw a box, or if you want, you can use the pen tool. I'm going to make sure I've selected off of it, then grab the pen tool and choose any other color, and then draw just like we were thinking before. That anchor point would line up with that one. That anchor point would line up with that one, and then we would close it. So now that we've got that, you can just take it and say Alt, drag, and line them up, and now we have a really cool little ribbon. Once again, it could go on the inside or the outside. It's up to you. You can make them smaller or bigger. And you can see how I did this one, just a little, this one's on the front, this one goes to the front, this one goes to the back. Now let's look at how we did something like this. So first we're going to draw a box. And I want to make an exact copy of that to make sure that we have the same aspect. But I need it to be a little bit smaller because we want to make the little tail. Now in order to have that little cutout, we need to have an extra pen. So I'm going to go to my pen tool and I'm going to say Add Anchor Point Tool. And let's zoom in so I can see what I'm doing. And make sure you're right on the edge. It's going to tell you when you intersect with the center of the box, and go ahead and click once. It has now added a new point. Now grab your direct selection tool and you can make it look like that. That is pretty cool. I'm going to go ahead and change this to a different color just to help us see it. Now with the direct selection tool, we do need to make a copy of that, but we need to flip it the other way. So you could say Alt Drag, or you could go up to Object, Transform, Reflect. And it's going to give us an exact reflection, either horizontal or vertical. We need vertical, but instead of hitting OK, hit Copy. And it's made us an exact copy that is a reflection. So now we've got these two ready to go. So let's click the original box we made and bring that to the top. And this time I am going to use the pen tool. You could use the boxes like we did on the first one, but to me the pen tool makes more sense. I'm going to choose another color, let's say black, and think about the way this would be. That back anchor point, which you can see when you hover over it, that would click with this one. This anchor point would align with this one, and then we need to close it down. Let's do the other side. Once again, you can see when you hover over it, that anchor point would correspond with that one. That anchor point would correspond with that one, and then close the box. Now, once again, this is kind of a little backwards. This needs to be on the top. So let's right click, arrange, bring to front. Now we've got that's pretty cool, but how did we make it look like this? Well, I want to do both versions of this, so let's make a copy of everything. I'm going to highlight this and make Alt Drag so we can make the one on the top look different. I'm going to select the top box and say Effect, Warp, Arc. And that is the way it happens with that. I'm going to make it a little bit less. Now you notice I am going to have to change my points once I get it the way I like it. That looks pretty good to me. And now we need to adjust these a little bit because they don't quite look right. That would go there. And for this one, I'm going to choose the same thing. This time I want Rise, and you can change how much you want that. Say OK. And it's really kind of changed the way this is. Let's move this down some. Need to move these two down. And it was just kind of hard to grab them, so I moved them out of the way and then put them back. And now I can readjust so that they line up. There we go. Now that's a little extreme, but I think you get the idea. So here we go, pretty quickly, in just a few minutes, we've made all of these different ribbons. There you go. Mess around with it. You can do a lot with this.